What's good, Washington fans? It's your boy Stacks Reacts, and we back again with another video. If y'all haven't heard already, you know that we all know that Chase Young and Montez Sweat both has been traded. Chase Young has gone to the 49ers for a third round pick, and Montez Sweat has gone to the Bears for a second round pick. Look, I'm gonna just break this down for y'all, and I want y'all to really understand why I'm not mad at it, and I'm actually happy that we actually did these because with the way we were playing, it was pretty much necessary. So let's break it down. Let's get into it. We will get straight to this. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen were already signed to long-term contracts. Okay, they were already signed. Deron Payne was signed last year, and Jonathan Allen was signed a year before that. So they were already locked down for the next 3 to 4 years. They were already under contract. The only people that were not under contract was Montez Sweat and Chase Young. They were in their fourth year. They were going into a contract year. Now here's the thing about Washington. They knew that they could not pay both of the players. They knew they couldn't play Chase. They knew they couldn't pay Montez Sweat. They couldn't pay both of them, so they had to let one of them go. So when it came down to it, we were in the first 8 games of the season. We have been ranked 30th and 31st in defense, in total defense, and like everything, every statistical category, we have been ranked 30th or 31st. It doesn't matter how many points we score, we give up twice as much. We gave up over 40 points to the Bears. We gave up over 30 points twice to the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to understand what we're doing here. Like we are playing terrible. We're not getting any pressure from any of those edge rushers. Montez Sweat is not getting any pressure. Chase Young is not getting any pressure. Like we're just going to break this down. We'll just start with Chase Young. He's most definitely he was injury prone. Like he besides his first season when he won defensive rookie of the year, he got hurt his second year. He tried to come back his third year and it didn't play. He didn't do that well. He came back this year and he sort of was on a good track to get double digit sacks. But if you just do the math between him and Montez Sweat, in the 4 years that they have been, I'm not going to count it because they're still in their fourth year. But to say the first 3 years that they've been in the league, nobody has had double digit sacks. Nobody has had more than 7 sacks in the season. So you got to understand for let's go to Chase. For you, even Chase and Montez. Chase is the second pick of the NFL draft. You got to understand, Chase is the second pick of the NFL draft. So when you pick somebody that high into the draft, you expect them to be a game changer, a game record. You expect them to make difference. You expect them to be a difference maker of the team. Like you have to look at somebody, say like a Michael Parsons, a Bosa, a TJ Watt, Max Crosby. You have to look at these players like that, Aaron Donald. When you look at players like that, you know that when you need a play to be made, these guys are going to make that play. And you know they're going to make that play. But the problem is Chase Young will not make that play. He's not going to make that play. And if you watch him on a lot of different takes, a lot of different snaps, once he gets blocked up, he stops rushing. He stops. Once the left tackle or right tackle, whichever who it is, once they get a hold of Chase, he stops rushing because he knows he can't get around him. For number one, Chase doesn't have any moves. He doesn't have any moves. He has two moves that he always does, and his bull rush and his speed rush. You stop those two moves, you stop Chase Young. You stop him correctly. He doesn't have any spin moves. He doesn't have any swim moves, hump moves. He doesn't have anything else besides bull rush and pass rush. That's what makes me wonder why he went to the camp with Von Miller this year. And when he went to the camp with Von Miller, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready." He comes out and he's not ready. He's not doing anything. He's not doing nothing at all. So you got to realize this. Even with Montez Sweat, he was picked later in the first round. 28th, and the only reason he was picked so late in the first round was because of Daniel Snyder wanted to take Dwayne Haskins in the first round. So he wanted to take Montez Sweat a little earlier, but we couldn't because Daniel Snyder wanted to take Dwayne Haskins. So we had to trade up back into the first round to get Montez Sweat. So with that being said, we took these two defensive linemen because we thought it could be game records. But actually, in all actuality, none of that has happened. None of that has happened. We have gone against some of the worst lines, some of the worst offensive lines in football. Now, besides the Eagles, and maybe I don't even know, like out of all the teams that we played, like the Philadelphia Eagles was probably the best defensive line or offensive line that we played. Everybody else was banged up. The Giants' offensive line had players off the street. They had guys off the street, second, third string linemen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. Nobody could get any pressure at all on second and third string offensive linemen. Uh, Neither one of them. We played the Cardinals. Cardinals were banged up. They were giving up 5 to 6 sacks a game on Josh Dobbs. We couldn't get any pressure on Josh Dobbs. He was dicing us up. Couldn't get any pressure on Josh Dobbs. We were playing Russell Wilson, first game of the season with Denver. We couldn't get any pressure on Russell Wilson. We had to come back from that game with Russell Wilson. Like, you got to understand, when you have players that are supposed to be impact players, when you put them up against a third or a second string or just even anything other than a first string starting offensive lineman, they're supposed to wreak havoc and supposed to take over games. And not one time, besides maybe the Houston Texans game of last year, did everybody play and take over a game. You understand what I'm saying? So you gotta look at it this way. You gotta look at it this way. Chase Young being a first round pick, Montez Sweat being a first round pick, and their contracts is expiring. Chase Young was going to demand at least 15 million. Excuse me. Chase Young was going to demand about 15 million a year. Montez Sweat was going to demand somewhere between 10 to 12 million a year. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't feel that they even deserve that type of money off of the production that they were given. You have to. We're building for the future, y'all. So all my Washington fans, we are building for the future. That's what we're doing, building for the future. So if you're not understanding what's happening here, you got to look at it like this. Washington is going to have over $90 million in cap space next year. 90 million. And right now, with the way that it goes, we'll have a first round pick, we'll have two second round picks, and we'll have 3 third round picks or 2 third round picks. And so we're literally going to be picking right around 5 to 6 times within the top 100 of the NFL draft. We can most definitely build this team from the inside out like we're supposed to. We can get our offensive linemen that we need. We can get us a better quality receivers, or even better receivers, you know what I mean, that we have. Like, there's different things that we can do to most definitely bolster this unit. And keeping Chase Young is wasn't in the plans. We like, if you go to do your research, uh Josh Harris, our owner, he hired a brand new guy. I think his name was Sheen. He was actually head of the analytics department. They hired him to actually look into the analytics of the players and players personnel and see what we could do to cut players or make this team better. And honestly, they already said that Josh Harris, our owner, had a hand in these trades. So with that being said, like, they already feel that Chase Young and Montez Sweat was not in the plans. They were not in the plans. So we're going to start in the middle with John Allen and Daron Payne, and we're going to plug and play until we find the right combination. And that's how it goes. Because if you look at any team in the NFL, any team, you can pick any team you want, from the Eagles to the Cowboys to the 49ers, anybody you want. They don't pay 4 defensive linemen like top dollar money. No team in the NFL invests high contracts on 4 defensive linemen. They need to spread the money around. They spread the money on all different parts of the defense, not just 4 defensive linemen. They don't do that. So we're in it for the long run. In my opinion, I already felt that the season was already over anyway. Like, I felt that the season was coming to an end. We lost 3 straight games. We're losing by at a margin of 27 points per game. It's not looking good. The defense is ranked 31st in every statistical category. We're not looking good at all. So my thing was, with the defense not even looking good, or the defense not even playing good, us trading Chase Young and Montez Sweat, that is not going to do anything. It's not going to. We can't get any worse. Let's just put it that way. We cannot get any worse. We're ranked 31st. So even if we trade Chase Young, or when we did trade Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and we were placing with 2 guys off the street that were bagging groceries at Kroger or Walmart, we will still be 31st. They could put me in the game. They could put me in the game right now, and we will still be 31st. Well, I think I'm pretty good. I think we probably get at least 30th. But either way, it doesn't matter who they plugged in. We were already ranked 30th, giving up over 27 points a game. So with that being said, a lot of people were saying, oh, Chase Young didn't want to be here. Montez Sweat didn't want to be here. You got to realize this. If they didn't want to be here, they're playing for a contract. That's what they're playing for. They're playing for a contract. That's what they're doing. So why would they come in? Why would they come into this game? Why would they come and play every single week, not and not give it their all? They're all playing for a contract. It don't matter if they get the contract from Washington or they get the contract from somewhere else. They're playing for a contract. So it's so for all the people out there that's saying that they didn't care and they wasn't playing to the best of their ability, that's BS. That's bullcrap. Because that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. They were playing their hardest, but the problem was their hardest wasn't getting everything done. Their hardest wasn't getting pressure. Their hardest wasn't disrupting plays. Yes, they might have had some pressures. They might have been top 10 in pressures, but pressures don't really mean anything. It's an exaggerated stat. You know, people got to stop looking at PFF numbers and stop assuming that players are better than they are. Like to me, I compare Chase Young to a Jadeveon Clowney. You know, people saw Jadeveon Clowney when he tackled that guy from Michigan and they blew him up in Michigan when he's in South Carolina. They're like, oh man, this guy got to go number one. And he goes in the top five and he just bounced around and bounced around. And right now he's a free agent. He's not even signed on the team right now. And I feel like Chase Young's that guy. He's that guy. He was a product of the system. He was a product of the system. He had the top players around him, the top defensive tackles. He had a Bosa right beside him before he left and went to the 49ers. He had the top of everything. So I'm not going to say that Chase can't be good. He can't be good, but when he's the guy, when he's the number one guy, he's not going to be good being the number one guy. It's Montez Sweat the same way. He's a good player. He's a good player, but he's not going to be good being the number one guy. It's just not. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. And we're building. We are building for the future. That's what we're doing. We're tearing it down and we're building for the future. And with that being said, I hope y'all can understand why we made these moves because everything is going to be for the better. I say within a year or two, about a year or two, I guarantee you that nobody's even going to be paying attention to that we traded Chase Young and we traded Montez Sweat. They're probably going to talk about this. They're going to talk about it and they're going to be like, man, I remember when they traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat and everybody was mad, but now Washington's winning games. Now Washington's in the playoffs. Now Washington's competing for championships all over them, all over those, getting rid of those two players. This is what it is. Josh Harris is the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. What does he always say? He says, trust the process. Trust the process. So I'm trusting the process. This regime is under Daniel Snyder. So Daniel Snyder's gone. Ron Rivera is going to be gone. Jack Del Rio is going to be gone. Eric Bieniemy's probably going to go with them. And this team is going to bring in coaching staff that knows what they're doing, a GM that knows what they're doing, and they're going to build this team correctly, and they're going to build it the right way. So, and it's not going to be today. Things are not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a long-term process that has to be done, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I give it the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference going on with this team. And when you see it, I guarantee you that you see these things happening, you're not even going to think about Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I wish them the best of luck, and I hope wherever they go, like I said, Chase Young, I hope he gets a championship in San Francisco, playing for the 49ers. I hope he gets a championship. It's glad to see him in the playoffs. You know, it's hard to get to the playoffs. We're not getting there, so I'm glad to see that he can go play in the playoffs. Montez Sweat, they're in a big rebuild in Chicago. But I'm glad that they're putting him in their plans and they're going to give him a long-term deal because I feel like he deserves a long-term deal. He does. He deserves one, but just not with us. Just not with us. So, with that being said, I hope that y'all understand where I'm coming from and how I'm explaining this situation when it comes about these two players. So, with me being a Washington fan, I watched this team since the early 2000s. I've watched this team struggle. I watched this team get old, retired players, washed up players, and we hold on to players way too long and we give players contracts that don't deserve them. So I see that we're turning over a new leaf. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. And with the light being at the end of the tunnel, there's going to be a new journey coming forward for this Washington organization. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe down below. It's your boy Stacks Reacts. If you, like I said, how do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about this situation? How do y'all feel about Chase Young and Montez Sweat both leaving? Drop a comment down below. Let me know how it is. I reply to everybody. Let me know what's up. It's your boy Stacks Reacts. and I'm gone.